Welcome to the CHA Extracurricular Podcast. My name is Brady, and I'm excited to have the head of school, Mr. Smallwood, here in the studio with us. Mr. Smallwood, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the state of school and just kind of his thoughts and things.
Yeah, well, we're in a new place today, too. You guys are probably going, what happened to the studio? We're over at Camelot campus today. Mr. Smallwood tried to hide from us, but he couldn't. We tracked him down.
You can't hide.
But yeah, we're excited to hear a little bit about, what is the state of the school?
Right.
Because I think sometimes we hear that and probably some different images flash through your mind, but maybe Mr. Smallwood can help us understand what that is, and he might share a little bit about it too. It's coming up on, it'll be February 20th. And we'll see when we release this episode. Could be before or after. It'll be
could be tomorrow, but it could be last week, depending on when you get this.
Well, before we jump in, though, I think we've got some other questions to ask Mr. Smallwood, too.
Yeah. So one of the questions we kind of ask everybody is, what brought you to CHA, and how did you end up getting involved here?
All right, so that could be a very long story. But what I will tell you about what brought me to CHA was a lot of prayer and just seeking God's will for my professional life and personal life. I knew that God, I have administrative skills. I joke with Mr. Keller, like, we're the jack of all trades and the master of none, but we got to be pretty good at a lot of different things. Right. We may not be great at one, and sometimes that's your head of school. And so, or your principal. And so, you do have certain skill sets that God's given you. And I'd reached a point in my life that I really want, what's God's will for me right now? Not in 20 years, but what's He got for me right now? And that was some form of school administration and seeking, is that on the public side where I was? Is that private Christian? Is that higher education at the college and university level? What is it? So started taking classes to be a principal at the high school level. And then my wife and kids wound up at CHA, and was not on really my radar to come to CHA. But towards the end of my time as a student in the educational leadership program, position come open at CHA, and felt led to apply, and I really called to be at CHA. And circumstances led to me being the head of school instead of a principal, and here we are. And so I've known about CHA for a long time. When I was a student at Stanleytown Baptist, we played CHA in basketball at the National Guard Armory because there was no castle back then. Right. So we actually had to play at the National Guard. So I've known about CHA, and before we even had kids, I had brought up to Kathy, like, hey, I'd love for my kids to be able to attend CHA. And we didn't think that was in the cards for us. Just didn't think we, being educators, that we could afford CHA. And God's made a way for our kids to be here. Our whole family's here. And it's been a good family ministry for 4 years now.
For sure. So I know you were talking about being the head of school. What is it like being the head of school? What are some of the things that you may have to do that principals or whatnot?
So I know Mr. Smallwood said kind of jack of all trades, right? But maybe, I don't know, is there such thing as a normal day as head of school? So maybe you can't just walk us through what it's like to be the head of school for a day, but what do you see as your role as head of school?
So I'm a creature of habit. So like the everyday thing, I want every Monday to look familiar. If it doesn't look somewhat the same, it means we've had an emergency. And that's okay. Stuff happens, right? There are times where the bell rings and you put your fireman hat on and you got to go. And it's not your routine day. Every Tuesday, I want every Tuesday to look similar. I want every Wednesday to look similar. Every day of the week, I want to have a purposeful design for that day. And then the rest is like as my friends at church would say, as the Lord leads, from there. So that's just head of school. I try to be very structured. Every 15 minutes of my day is scheduled. Doesn't always go that way, and that's okay. So beyond that, the what's it like being a head of school is really rewarding. Get to sit down with kids like you, students like you who are awesome. I get to watch you grow as a young man, and you're going to walk across the stage next year with a diploma. That puts a big smile on my face, as your head of school. I like to see the growth in our students, but I also like to see growth in our faculty and staff, because as the head of school, I'm really serving our parent partners and our teachers and administrators and staff more than I'm serving students. Okay, there's like a level in between that. So I love seeing you guys progress, but what I really love as the administrator of the school is to see families grow in the Lord, but see our teachers progress, because just because you're learning doesn't mean they should stop.
Right.
Our teachers and administrators, staff should be growing just as much as you guys are growing, and when that happens, that's exciting to me. So it's multifaceted. Not a single day is the same as the day before, and it's very rewarding, but it's also humbling that I get to do this, and it's fun to me. When it stops becoming fun and it stops becoming what I feel like God has for me right now, that there is something else He wants me to go do, then maybe that day never comes. Maybe I'm always here at CHA till the Lord calls me home. But until then, we're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of growth, and it's going to be challenging. And I kind of referenced it in a way yesterday it's like the emergency room. There's not a single day in the ER that's the same to those nurses. So there's really not a single day at CHA to the head of school or the principal that's the same. As much as we try to control that, but it's fun and it's rewarding and it is humbling, because at the end of the day, we get to do this.
For sure. Now jumping in to the state of school, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so 4 years ago, I was like, what in the world are we talking? What is the state of...
He was asking the same question.
Yeah, I was like, what is the state of the school? Is that like the president? And they're like, yeah, it's kind of like the president. You got to get up there and talk about how things are at CHA, a little bit of vision, what's coming, a little bit of progress, like what's gone on over the last year or two. Where are we? Are there pain points, or are there points of celebration? And so it started off my first year pretty formal. Everybody's in suits and ties, and everything is there's no fun,
right?
And that first year, maybe that's the way it needed to be. But as the years have gone, I've been felt led to turn this into a celebration of CHA, what God is doing at CHA, what He has done, where we feel God's leading us into the future, and going to hear a lot about that at the state of the school. But that's really what the state of the school is.
I love that we've kind of incorporated an aspect of fun, but also worship. And that started last year, and we look to continue some of that too. So I'm excited to see we're gonna kind of get together some faculty, staff, and a few of the members of Ignite are going to be participating as well. So I'm excited for that to continue, and hope we can look forward to more like that. Yeah,
last year, like you mentioned, we brought in an alumni band as well as faculty and staff. We had some elementary students involved. This year, we've invited our drama program from secondary, skit there. Third and fourth graders are going to be back doing, really it's going to be multifaceted from the arts with them. There's going to be sign language incorporated with acting and singing, and the third and fourth graders bring a ton of energy. Staffalty band's back. This is the first year a student is going to speak at State of the School. And so our SGA president, Ethan Furrow, asked him to address our school from the state of a student and that perspective. And, Ethan is a student that he wants to be at CHA, and he's a leader at CHA. And I think it's going to be encouraging for all of us to hear from him. And it's not just the head of school and the chairman of the board speaking anymore. You know, it's truly what's the state of the school from the elementary program through the secondary, all the way to the 50,000-foot board of directors level. So,
for sure. Why is the state of the school important? I know you were talking about kind of the celebration and some, the pain and whatnot and everything.
Yeah. So CHA's been around for 45 years. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing we have found out very recently is it's very easy for us to not be involved in staying up to date with things maybe in our own state or nation. And so when we don't do that, things can slip through that we don't even know about. And so, from a political side, it's good to stay involved. From a parent-partner political side at CHA, parent partners need to stay involved. And so this is an opportunity for parent partners and students to come in and it's an hour-and-a-half long program and to hear about what's going on at CHA. And then from there won't be question and answer open session, but a parent could walk up to any of us after the evening and say, "Hey, Mr. Keller, I heard this about secondary." More than likely, Mr. Keller's has heard about it before it comes out of my mouth on stage that night, and he'd be prepared to answer a question from a parent partner. But it's a very important. We have a civic duty to stay engaged in local and state and national government. If you're not informed, then you could wake up one morning and this look very different, and there's nothing you can do about it at that point. So at CHA, this is an opportunity for parents to stay informed and then have the ability to ask educated questions at that point. Because I can't tell you how often I get a question about something and the answer was in the parent update the week before.
Right.
You know? And so the information's there, and it's important information, and it's important for our families to stay involved in CHA and be engaged, because if not, they could wake up one morning and say, "This isn't what I signed up for."
Right.
You know, and they've missed all of this information that we've actually put out there. So engagement, involvement is huge. That only makes it better for the students.
Yeah. So. What goals do you have for the future of CHA? Maybe short term, long term.
Yeah. So that's big.
Yeah.
That's not a loaded question at all.
Yeah, that's not loaded at all. That's multifaceted. As the head of school, I worry about things that you as a student will never worry about.
Right.
It's not on your radar at all. Things like, yes, we've been here for 45 years, but I want this school to be financially sustainable for 45 more years, and it's my job as the head of school to work with our board of directors to make sure that whenever I'm gone, that this place is A, better than I found it, but B, sustainable for way longer than I was here. And so I want to make sure that we have that night core value of stewardship. I take stewardship very seriously. And so my goal is to ensure sustainability as and steward what God has given us to the best of its potential. That's the business side of things.
Yeah.
After that, our vision, we want students to know what God's will for their life is and the truth of His Word and Jesus Christ at the end of the day. And how we get to that point is really important. And we have outcomes, expected student outcomes. A goal would be that every student that walks across that stage and gets a diploma, 100% of those expected student outcomes are there. That's likely not going to happen,
right?
But when I sit down with Mr. Keller and we look at Brady and we walk through our expected student outcomes, does Brady meet this when he walked across the stage? And I want you to know what God has planned for you as an 18-year-old when you leave CHA. You may not know what it is as a 40-year-old,
right? But
if I'd have been told as an 18-year-old, "Hey, you're going to be the head of school at Christian Heritage Academy," I'd have laughed because I was going into college athletics, and now we're here, the furthest thing from college athletics. So, yeah, I want to see our school sustainable well beyond us and my life. If God's will is to have CHA here for 45 more years, I want to make sure that I've done everything I could that it's here. And then for our students, our vision and mission is very important to me. And so my goal is with those outcomes that when you walk across the stage as a senior, you look the way a CHA senior is supposed to look like. And that's a hard thing.
For sure. Mr. Keller, any closing thoughts?
I appreciate the viewpoint that you shared there, thinking about goals. We know the goals, right? And we're going to be working to try and get towards those goals. And being here and having Brady run this podcast, I see the fulfillment of some of those goals in you, and I see them in a lot of our students too. So I'm appreciative of Mr. Smallwood's time today, and Brady, of your leadership in this podcast.
Of course.
I think we're about there, though, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Smallwood, for coming and talking with us today. Look forward to having you on the podcast again in the future. And with that, we're going to sign off here. So we'll see you on the next one.
And be at the state of school.